Hey, what's up guys, Mastershiny here, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about which knives are the best to invest in based on past trends. But before we get into that guys, we have a Discord server. I'm super excited to announce it. I'm going to be pretty active on there. I'll try to hop on there every single day. It's going to be the top link in the description if you want to join it. Super excited for it, had some help with it. And yeah, so hopping on into the video here, we're going to be looking at the top knives to invest in based on past trends. And so for this, what I did is I took the vanilla prices of the knives 1 year ago versus today and compared it in a percentage-wise. 100 meaning that the knife has retained 100% of its value but has not gone up at all. And for this, what I did is I did have to exclude some knives just because they are so new. First up, I excluded the classic knife. Not too much to say about this one. It came in the CS20 case and really not worth it. And then I also excluded the 4 shattered web case knives. And they're now also in the fracture case. But the survival, the nomad, the skeletor, and the paracord, I just excluded all of those because they are so new and there's not really too much data on most of those. But up first we have the Ursus knife, and 1 year ago today the Ursus knife was worth about $260. And when I talk about this, it's all in USD, but now it's only worth $215-ish, and it's only retained about 82% of its value, making it the worst investment based on past trends. Alright, next up here we have the Navaja knife. The Navaja knife around a year ago was worth about $83. Now it is the least expensive knife, coming in at about $70. Overall, just the least desirable knife. It's only kept about 84% of its value, and I mean, looking at the knife, you can just see it's the least desirable. It's most similar to the Falchion knife. Alright, coming up next, we got the stiletto knife. And the stiletto knife is the last knife here that actually ended up going negative, but started off at about $165, now has decreased to around $150, only retaining about 91% of its value. Overall, though, just one of the lower tier knives. Alright, next up we got the Talon knife, and the Talon knife is one of the more expensive knives on this list. A year ago it was worth about $320, now it's worth about $330. It's pretty much just had a just normal inflation, it's only went up 3%. But the Talon knife, very similar to the Karambit, kind of almost the poor man's Karambit, only going up 3%. Next up though, we have a tie actually. Both of these knives went from $120 to $125. And that was the Bowie knife and the Shadow Daggers. Both of those actually only increasing about 4.2%-ish. And these are both somewhat unique knives, but at the same time somewhat not. They only come from one case, and they're not the most desirable knives, but they're not bad looking knives either. But right after that, we got the Huntsman knife, and the Huntsman knife is kind of in the same boat as the other knives, except this time the Huntsman knife went from $150 to $165, a 10% increase, and the Huntsman knife is pretty similar to the other two, but it's just a little bit more desirable. It's from the older case, the Huntsman case, and a lot of people it brings back the nostalgia of just being such an old knife. After that, we have the gut knife, and the gut knife actually went from $85. The gut knife used to be one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest knife. Now it's starting to make an increase. It went from $85 to almost $100, coming in at a 15% increase in 1 year. Which is pretty significant considering the gut knife has been just such a low tier knife for so long. People just don't respect the gut knife at all. But it looks like it's starting to make an increase of some sort. Next up we have the flip knife, and the flip knife used to be the second cheapest knife for such a long time, but also starting to see some increase. Went from $125 to $145, which So $20 difference coming in at 16% increase in value, which is actually a lot for a knife in 1 year, especially since it's the flip knife. Next up though, we're starting to get into the pretty old knives. It's the falchion knife, actually, surprisingly. This one's going to shock a lot of people. It went from $103 to $120, coming at a 16.5% increase, and this one shocked me the most just because the falchion knife, no one ever wanted a falchion knife. There was very few people that wanted it. It had the one cool animation, but other than that, I thought it looked pretty ugly. But it's starting to become a lot more expensive than it used to be. And following that is the most expensive knife, or one of the most expensive knives on this list, is the karambit. The karambit had a pretty significant increase, going from $350 to $450, which is a lot in 1 year. It's a 28.6% increase, and the karambit was the staple of CSGO for so long. It's crazy to see it not being the most expensive knife. But next up, we got the pair of the bayonets. Coming in just a little bit under is the normal bayonet, going from $250 to $340. That's a 36% increase. Following that though is the M9 bayonet, always been a little bit more expensive for some reason, going from $275 to $385 with a 40% increase. The bayonets have always been just such, I think they're just such a nasty combo with how they look. I've always preferred the regular bayonet over the M9, but the M9 has just always been just a tiny bit more expensive, and it's so interesting to watch their prices fluctuate together. But finally, coming in at number 1 here, any guesses? Yeah, it's obviously the butterfly knife. The butterfly knife has just been going off the charts recently. In 1 year, it went from $425 to over $630, over $200 in 1 year. It's at a 48.2% increase. It's just absolutely insane in 1 year for something that's such a high tier item. And these are all the vanilla knives as well. Like a flip knife fade over $1,000 for just something that can be unboxed. Just outstanding increase from the butterfly knife. It's just amazing to see how much this knife has grown in 1 year. I remember when these knives used to be around $200 and everyone thought they were overpriced then, especially when CSGO had its little downfall there. But that's all I have for today, guys. Hope you have all enjoyed. I think it's pretty interesting to see which knives have increased a ton and which knives to avoid. I mean, there's not really too much about these knives. Just the Ursus, the Navaja, and the Stiletto have just not been keeping up their value compared to all the other knives. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, it helps out the channel a lot. And make sure to drop a like on the video and leave a comment if there's anything you want to see in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.